What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumbass. Like and subscribe. So, the death of PlayStation is only exacerbated by that, I don't want to say 10 out of 10 performance, but it was a pretty high performing developer direct. 5 games they showed. It was 4, but plus 1. And not a dud. And you think about it, right? You're like, oh, Sony's gonna show, like, what's the last thing they showed? Like, they had 15 games or something. I don't even know what the number is, but they got a bunch of games. It's all trailers. You look at it, it's like, okay, whatever, you know. But this, how it's produced, the production is very important because you got nice cameras and all that good stuff. You know, whoever's shooting it, good job, very nice. And it pulls you in to what would be otherwise just a trailer of game, like cinematics, maybe some gameplay, blah, 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 right? But they pull you in with the cinematics. They explain a little story, do all these things. Then they show you some gameplay and then give you a date and everything. It's like, I see nothing wrong with any of those games. And then they shadow drop Ninja Gaiden 2 Black remaster on Unreal Engine 5, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5, probably 5. It's crazy. And I'm like, it's like bam, right? And what's PlayStation doing? Crickets. What they do? They tried to launch. They had to launch the launch trailer of the demo of, I forgot what that something blade or I forgot what it was called. Some whatever blade. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a game. No, nobody cares. Nobody's talking about that game except for ponies and Donkey Unicorns who need something to talk about because they ain't got no games. They literally have no games. And I've heard plenty of Donkey Unicorns and ponies talk about, oh my gosh, all these cancellations. Even Dreamcast guy is his knuckleheaded, but there's not going to be any new games until PlayStation 6. Oh my gosh. They're all panicking and crying. And the one thing that I hear that is baffling to me, because I'm like, how can you sit there and say this and think to yourself, yay, we're winning PlayStation number 1, which is all these games are going to be on PlayStation. This game's going to be on PlayStation. Doom's going to be on PlayStation. Ninja Gaiden's going to be on PlayStation. Thank you, Xbox, for all these games. Thank you. And I'm like, y'all are they're so dumb that they don't realize that Xbox is literally destroying Sony from within, inside out. They're destroying them from inside. They're spending them out of business. They're doing that not in a way that Sony would do it, because Sony can't. Not by money hatting. I mean, they did do the publishing deal for Ninja Gaiden, which is different from money hatting, because money hatting is just, oh, we're just gonna give you some money, don't put it on Xbox, and give us a year or whatever. That's money hatting. What Xbox did is say, yeah, we're gonna publish this game, we're gonna give you the money, y'all make it. They're funding the game to be made. That's different. That's different than trying to pay to keep the game off of your competitor's console. That's not what Xbox does, because the games that they're publishing are going to be on PlayStation. And that's the beauty of this. The beauty of this whole situation, of the industry right now, is that Microsoft is sitting here. They're like, yeah, we got all these games, and we're going to put them in Game Pass. And the games that we put on Game Pass, we're going to sell to the PlayStation fans. Now, some of them will buy it. Some of them will be stubborn and be like, I don't like Xbox. I like to buy all my games. Let's give them that option to buy the games. There you go. Here's $70, $50. Just give us the money. We're fine with it. But other people are like, why would I $70 or Game Pass for a month and then I could cancel? That's what they say. But then Microsoft is like, yeah, just take it for a month, $20 just for a month, just to get it for a month. Then they get it for a month, and then they're like, yeah, I got this game, and I'm a cat. Oh, what just this? What just popped on the Game Pass? Oh, we got some more games and stuff. Oh, but I want to play. I'll keep it for another month. That's what's another 20, but I just keep it for another month. And then it keeps going on, and then they're going on, and oh, another game. Oh, what? They got 8. Like they have at least 8 bangers, not just 8 games, 8 bangers coming out this year. I think it's 9. I think there was one that was like extra. So I was like, yo, so all these games coming out. They said they wanted to do 1 per quarter. Now it's more like 2 per quarter, which is fine with me. I mean, you got Avowed, Ninja Gaiden is in the fall. South of Midnight, Exhibition 33. Can't even talk. Exposition 33. Doom. Avowed, Doom, Exposition, South of Midnight. Before the summer. Come on, son. It's like, there's no competition. Like when Satya said, let us compete, he knew what he was talking about because you saw his face, right? Go back and watch the video. He said, let us compete. He had that smug face, like, let us compete. Come on, Sony, why don't you let us compete? He knew what he was doing because he was like, I'm gonna sick my booty pit bull on these fools. And then, Phil Spencer's gonna be like, oh, come on, Matt, come on. Gonna hold him back. But I think he just cut the chain and said, go get and he's gobbling up all these publishing deals. That's Mad Booty right there with the publishing. That's Mad Booty. He's doing his Thug Thistle. So it's like, yo, all right. Okay, I see what's going on. I think I like this team. Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Now, Sarah still has to prove herself. I mean, honestly, I'm going to say she has proven herself with the ABK court case and all that stuff. Definitely proved herself because she was on point. They put her on the stage. She was like, get, smack, get out of my face. She handled her business so well. I was like, yo, can I have her as I know she's not a lawyer, but can she talk for me, please? Because she's the best. And so I'm like, all right, she gets a pass. As far as I'm concerned. But of course, we have to see the plan. We'll see the hardware that comes out because she's partially in charge. I mean, she is in charge of the hardware with Jason Ronald as software and hardware, next gen wizard, whatever his new title is, I can't remember. But so this team is doing the Thug Thistle, right? And I'm like, okay. And to go back, of course, to what the Donkey Unicorns and the Ponies are saying, their only argument is Xbox. All these games are coming to PlayStation. All these games are coming to PlayStation. And if you think about it, on its surface, it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But if the games that Xbox puts on PlayStation are also on Game Pass, that's a W for Xbox and an L for PlayStation fans because they're going to be paying. Now, I mean, I know they're for the payers. Sony has trained you to pay for stuff that you probably don't want over and over again. That's their plan right now because they got no games, so they have to make a bunch of... Shuhei Yoshida exiting, he left and he said, yo, this is what's happening. You got to buy these old remakes and stuff because we ain't got no money. We got enough money to make actual new stuff. So we got to sell you some old dusty stuff. And then we can maybe make a new game, maybe. I mean, you got to buy the new game too, but you guys usually don't buy the new game. So buy the old stuff because you kind of buy that. But, I mean, look at the numbers. Look at the sales numbers of new IP or new games on PlayStation from PlayStation first party. Look at the numbers. I think the most sold, I think Spider-Man 2 was the most successful, or did Helldivers surpass that? And I think Spider-Man still sold more. The problem with Spider-Man is that that's not Sony's game. It's not their IP, meaning that's what I mean. So they don't get 100% of that revenue. Plus, of course, you have to minus what it costs to make the game. So I don't know if they actually made money on that game because they have to pay Disney their cut, which is at sometimes 50%. And that's, look, when I saw those numbers with the leak they had, I was like, huh? For if they sell a Spider-Man console, like a console that like got stuff on it, I guess with the game inside, Disney gets 50% of the profits. I'm like, yo, what kind of deal does Sony sign? Yo, that's crazy. Disney bent them over and said, psh, where the baby oil at? Just saying, no Diddy, but Diddy, because they did need to them to Sony. Disney did need Sony. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah. So it's if you look at it, like a lot of things that's happening right now is just like, it's like feelings and fanboys getting hurt and, oh, you traitor and stuff like that. That's what somebody said at MBG. MBG was like, oh, I'm thinking about getting Game Pass. I'm thinking about signing up for Game Pass. They like went off on him on the show. I'm like, see what I'm saying? What's happening? The death of Sony is literally happening. You're seeing the fanboys, the ponies and the donkey unicorns start to shift because they see the writing on the wall and they see that Xbox is going to be the leader, the market leader. They're going to be number one in that respect. And Sony is not. Sony's going to shrink down a little bit like this. Their games are going to be shorter. The games are going to be smaller, less expensive, Not saying they're going to be any worse. I'm just going to say they're not going to be a 22-hour Spider-Man game. It might be 10, which is fine. You know, that's just about resetting the expectations of, you know. And plus, I was listening to Black Hokage today, and he was like, yeah, man, God of War Ragnarok was kind of garbage because the middle part of that game was trash. And I say, well, mainly because it was DLC that they stretched it. And I guess the garbage part of that game is the part they stretched to make it a full game. Sony this whole generation has been full of shite, basically. And they've been tricking and conning and doing all the things, and the donkey unicorns and the ponies are lapping it up. The casuals are not. The casuals did not show up because they're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. And that's the reason why you see the sales of PlayStation games on PlayStation very small, because the casuals are like, we don't want to play that. We got our Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex, whatever else. Well, Apex is kind of going down. Whatever games. We got Roblox, Minecraft, we playing all the, we get Marvel Rivals now. That's what we're playing. The free to play, we're playing that. We don't need God of War. Who's like the new generation coming up? They don't know what God of War is. That's an old ass game. And you bring in, oh, God of War. Oh, I remember when I was a kid. Like, no, I wasn't born yet when God of War 1 came out. These new kids, these Gen Alphas and Gen Beta, I don't even know what's after Alpha, Beta, Max. Remember Betamax? Anyway, another failed technology by Sony. Anyway, they're supposed to be hardware. And it's kind of telling. Like, if you look at this generation, their software has been lacking. And they've been trying to push hardware. And they've been failing at that as well. Now, they keep saying, oh, the PlayStation Portal's a success, da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, not giving us numbers. Come to find out, it sold like 2 million, 2 and change million. And it's like, that's a success. That's okay. You say you sold 65 million consoles, which is not true. They haven't sold through 65 million. They've sold to retailers, which is just basically how much they can manufacture. So they're counting their manufacture number as sales, which is not. They're being disingenuous from the start. So you know that something's wrong. If they were successful, if they wouldn't need to lie. They're basically lying. They're not telling you the truth. They're not explaining to you that, oh, that's not sell through to the customer. That's just to the retailer. So there's like 5 million PlayStation 5s sitting in Best Buy warehouses and BrandSmart warehouses and Amazon warehouses and all these warehouses. It's waiting for sales. You ever see any sold out PlayStation 5s? No, you don't. Why? Because they got plenty of stock. Because they're not all sold. I mean, we can go even further. The death of PlayStation happening in front of our eyes. The reason why the death of PlayStation is mainly is because of, yes, it's 100% Sony's fault. Okay, it's 90-something% Sony's fault. And the other percentage is their fans. But so you can say it's their fault because they've created these people. The PlayStation 5 Pro. The death of PlayStation is illustrated by the lack of interest in the PlayStation 5 Pro. That lack of interest is because the price is too high. That is Sony's doing. Whether it's corporate, doesn't matter. Sony said, let's charge $700. You killed it. How can they not realize that they did the same thing with the PS3 when it launched? And people were like, ha ha ha, no. And they got clowned and they lowered the price. And that's when people started buying it. They obviously don't want to they don't want to sell as many consoles as the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 2. They don't want to, because if they did, they would drop the price. They would drop the price, or they're trying to use the PlayStation 5 Pro as an impetus for people to buy the cheaper PlayStation 5. So that the $350 or the $375 or the $400 doesn't seem as high as $700, which it isn't, obviously. But that's also kind of a psychological trick, if you will. The point is, they made a console. Now, remember, Sony is hardware. They made a hardware console, and it kind of sucks. It's iterative, and it's not as good as it should be based off of the price. If the price was the same as the launch PlayStation 5, we wouldn't be having this discussion. I already said this before. If they used the playbook of last gen to the T and did the same thing, then they probably would be selling those things off the shelf. But they didn't do that because they had to make up for all the losses. Concord says hi. Biggest failure in video game history. Just got to remind you. And so the lack of interest for the Pixel 5 Potato and the lack of games is even exacerbating the fact that nobody wants to play. What are you going to play on the PlayStation, on the Pixel 5 Potato, when you have no games? And so what they're going to do, Bunny had a bunch of third-party games, which sucks because Rise of the Ronin, have you seen that game? That game looks horrible. I was watching the footage. I'm like, why the horse look like? The horse is like, I'm like, how? That's what it looked like. Like the legs. I'm like, how? What? That is the worst looking horse. I mean, it looks good when it's trotting. And it's like on the side. It's like, okay, now it looks like but wait. It starts running. And it's like transforms into some beast from It or something. I mean, The Thing, excuse me. Actually, both applies. But the money hatting doesn't work because they are going to have to publish a bunch of these games, like, put the money up to make these games. If they want to do something like what Microsoft did with Ninja Gaiden, they're going to have to do that. Now, the problem with that is Sony wants to keep those exclusive in order to try to sell consoles. I don't know when they're going to learn or realize that is a losing strategy, because it's losing for the devs, but the devs they don't matter because they're getting paid, right? Sony's paying for it, or Microsoft is paying for it. And that's the thing, right? So you look at Ninja Gaiden 4, right? Microsoft, they're publishing it. They're paying for the creation of Ninja Gaiden 4. So Microsoft, as the creator, says, okay, we can do, we have options. We're making this game. It could be exclusive, or we could do Xbox and PC. We could do Xbox, PC, and Switch 2. It's probably going to be on Switch 2. We can do PlayStation as well. I mean, what is the negative effect of it going to PlayStation? They're getting 70%, right? So, Sony gets 30%. The more Sony sells, the more it's better for Sony because they get that 30% cut. Also, it's way better for Xbox because they're getting 70%. So there is no lose situation for Xbox as far as that goes, or Microsoft Xbox Game Publishing, Worldwide Publishing, that's what it's called. So they win either way. Like, okay, if you want it on Game Pass, which it'll be $20 a month, or $50 if you want to buy it on PlayStation. You look at every part of that scenario, and it's like Microsoft is winning in every instance of that game being bought or played through Game Pass or whatever. Microsoft benefits, and they are the winner, because if a person decides, the only way that PlayStation wins in that scenario is that people buy it on PlayStation, but I just went through it. They're not getting 100%, they're getting 30%. Microsoft's getting 70%. So even when they buy it on PlayStation, they say, I'm a PlayStation fan, I'm buying a PlayStation. You're giving more money to Xbox than you are PlayStation. So I don't think they understand. I don't think the donkeys, unicorns, and ponies think about it that way. They're not thinking about it in terms of business and what makes sense. They're just still in their fields. They're like exclusive and they're all the tribalism and all that stuff. And it's not, first of all, it's not healthy for the bit. I want the industry to stay around forever, right? I'm not going to be here forever, but at least the industry will, right? So I am for the companies who are for creating a healthy environment for the video game industry. Sony is not that. Sony wants to win. Any means necessary. They do a lot of stuff that is anti-consumer, anti-developer, anti-industry in order for them to win. And I'm like, how can you not see that? If you're a fan of video games, you should not like Sony and how they do business because they're harming the industry. And they say, oh no, Game Pass is harming the industry. I was like, how? Explain it. Because people are paying for Game Pass and not buying games. It's like, A, not true. B, the people who are buying Game Pass tend to stay in Game Pass, which means that's money. You're acting like Game Pass is free. It's not. We pay for Game Pass and we get all these games and we keep paying for Game Pass. And like, there might be a month or two that I don't play any games on Game Pass, or, you know, I'll play some indie games, but it's, you know, under the $20. But, you know, then a banger comes out that's 70 and I'm like, okay, so that's like 2.5 months, 3.5 months, right? So if I play this game for 3.5 months, then it's but if they're coming out with a cadence that's so fast, then it's worth it for my $20 a month. You know what I'm saying? If 2 months go by and 2 bangers come out, that's only $40 I'm paying, but I'm getting $140 worth of games. So, I mean, the math is the math, but at the same time, they're getting their money. It's Game Pass and subscription services like Game Pass are essential for these companies to survive because it is a consistent and constant revenue stream. It's almost like passive income. It's not really passive income, but it's kind of like passive income, collecting rent for the landlord. You know what I mean? So they're getting that money, and that affords them to, you know, do these deals in Game Pass and get these games in Game Pass, right? Plus, it affords them to do other things. Maybe it's funding these developer directs because that costs money. That's not free. You have to, you know, kind of take into consideration what Game Pass, that revenue from Game Pass is providing Xbox in terms of, you know, the money that's coming in and where they can allocate it. And people say, oh, well, Microsoft is a $3 trillion company. They don't need the money from Game Pass. Like, that's not how business works. You can't just be like, we're worth all this money, and so we don't need to make money. Well, how does that work? No, rich people stay rich by making more money than they spend. Rich companies stay rich or grow by making more money, bringing in more money than they spend. Sony didn't do that. PlayStation didn't do. PlayStation spends more money than they bring in. Their profit, what is it, 6% or something like that? They're supposed to be at 12 or 20 or something like that, and they're at 6? Or 5 or 6 or 7. I'm like, dude, we're like 5 years in, and you're like, it's how? And it's those bangers. Bangers cost money. They try to make, you know, they try to hire these Hollywood people doing oh, your game looks great. Look how good Intergalactic looks. It's like, yeah, that looks cool. How much did that trailer cost? How much did you have to pay those animators? I mean, how long was the trailer? It also depends on when if they want to play it during the Super Bowl, it's another $2.5 million, right? Is that what are they charging more than that? Probably more than that now. Anyway, rambling. Appreciate you answering. Like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the ongoing death of Sony, the ongoing death of PlayStation, not Sony, but PlayStation, and how Microsoft is just like elbow dropping, leg drop, knee drop, every drop, and like I said before, Tina Amini is a gem. Do not let her go. Promote her to president of whatever she wants to be called and let her do her job because she is killing it. I don't know if she's in charge of the actual documentary part of those, like getting the footage and stuff, but whoever is, her and her team, they're doing magic. These are the best presentations of games and publishers and studios and such that I've seen. I started last summer. I mean, the other ones were cool too. I'm like, oh, that was the one with Bethesda. I was like, yeah, that was cool. But it's like it like elevates the games in a way. It's like so cool. So I'm like, yep. This is Sony cannot even compete. They can't even compete with game presentations. It's like, oh, we got a game, and people are like, yeah, I'm excited for the game. But this one was like banger, 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 banger. And it's like, if it was on PlayStation, they would just show a trailer and people like, yay, it was cool. But what they did, they elevated it by having the devs there. They talking, blah, blah, blah. You get a little insight. And it's crazy. It's just crazy. So let me know what y'all think about that. And what you think about PlayStation dying slowly in front of our eyes, and all the dog unicorns and ponies, they're starting to flip, they're starting to switch. Even Tim Dog said something nice about Xbox. I'm just saying, you see how it works? You see how all these grifters, like they fair weather fans. They're like, the winner's about to be a new king in town, gotta go kiss them toes and bow to that one. Get out of my face. You stay over there with PlayStation and see how y'all sink down into. Anyway, I'm done. I preach. I'll talk to y'all next one. Tilt the weight.